So if 5 years is 40, what would a 20-year CDS equivalent? They don't trade at 20 years, but let's put out a 20-year number. 20 times 8 per year gives you 160 basis points. Now, the total funded and unfunded liabilities of the United States of America is approaching 200 trillion US dollars. You take 160 times 200 trillion, and you get, I'm doing it in my head, $3.2 trillion would be the implied insurance value on the United States. $3.2 trillion just on the United States. What is Bitcoin trading for?
Greg Foss, a popular Bitcoin strategist and executive director at Validus Power Corporation, believes that Bitcoin's intrinsic value can be calculated using sovereign credit default swaps. Foss, who has decades of experience in managing risk and analyzing the creditworthiness of the United States, believes that Bitcoin is incredibly cheap at its current price. According to him, Bitcoin is the perfect insurance against the failure of a basket of fiat currencies and sovereign debt. Foss believes that the value of Bitcoin can be calculated by analyzing the creditworthiness of countries, using the United States as an example. He notes that a CDS contract for a 20-year term at the rate of 100 base points would be worth $1.9 trillion when the country's debt was closing in on $190 trillion. However, now that the total liabilities of the United States are over $200 trillion, with about $32 trillion in funded debt that appears on the balance sheet, and about $170 trillion unfunded future debts owed through Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, the same 20-year term CDS contract is now worth $3.2 trillion. Foss insists that viewing Bitcoin as credit default swap insurance for the United States and other countries is still a very unpopular idea, but he believes it would catch on when all fiat currencies, including the US dollar, inevitably collapse to zero. He adds that Bitcoin has no counterparty risk and is far above other assets, including gold.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
So having been a credit CDS trader and a distressed debt trader my whole life, what is credit? What is a credit default swap? It's basically an insurance policy on the default of any counterparty. It started, and in my case, it was on distressed debt, not distressed debt, but junk debt or lower quality debt. But it goes all the way up the credit quality spectrum, all the way to sovereign debt, which is typically the highest rated credits within any country. So, the S&P and Moody's will have a cap on the ability of a company to be rated higher than the sovereigns. Then one day there was a time when the drug companies in the US were rated higher than the credit quality of the USA. But at the end of the day, understand what happens. You have various tranches of credit risk as measured by the credit rating agencies, subjective credit rating agencies. Here's the truth. If the USA could not print money to solve their debt burden, they'd be the equivalent of a CCC rated corporation, because the USA does not even cover its interest expense one turn from its EBITDA, if you will, or free cash flow. Why? Because the USA has entitlement spending and it has military spending, and the residual is not enough to pay for the interest expense. So the USA is a zombie borrower, but it can print money. If people embrace the thesis that Bitcoin could be viewed as credit default swap insurance on USA and all other countries, well, it's trading about 1/7 of its value just for the USA. And here's the really cool thing. There's no counterparty risk. Bitcoin is not an insurance company. When you hold it in self-custody, you don't have to worry about buying this insurance from an insurance company like Bear Stearns. See, when I was trading credit default swaps, I had an exposure to Bear Stearns that meant I thought I was going to have insurance from Bear Stearns. And guess what? When Bear Stearns looked like it was going to fail, I had to run out and buy insurance on my insurance company. You see how this whole circular thing works? Bitcoin is so beautiful because there's no counterparty. So there's a way to value it, and there's a way to appreciate that it has no counterparty risk. And then you could say to me, well, Greg, isn't the same thing said about gold? And I'd go, yes and no, because gold has no fixed supply. It's not transferable or portable like Bitcoin is. And most importantly, it's not auditable. There is no blockchain to audit it. And I still like gold, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is so superior as not only a technology, but also as an auditable asset. That is why I love Bitcoin, as effectively, in my view, from a credit trader's perspective, my whole life, it is the most beautiful insurance policy on the failure of fiats globally.
Greg Foss is not the sole voice discussing the relationship between Bitcoin and sovereign credit default swaps. Last month, American investor and CEO of Galaxy Investment Partners, Mike Novogratz, also tweeted about the concept. While many replies to his tweet noted that Foss has been promoting the idea for years, Foss himself believes that the notion is gaining traction and popularity with credit experts, especially as the fiat Ponzi scheme continues to deteriorate. As more people come to recognize the value of Bitcoin, Foss predicts that its cheap price compared to its exceptional qualities will become increasingly apparent to investors. In the interview with CryptoNews, Foss discusses the opportunity Bitcoin presents for all investors who have joined the bandwagon.
If the thesis is leaking out, it will, be spread by bigger money risk managers who tend to look at it from a credit lens. And I will tell you, another guy that I have enormous respect for at Golden Tree, Steve Tannenbaum, he loves Bitcoin for a similar reason. And all I'll tell you is it resonates with the credit guys more quickly than it resonates with, firstly, equity guys who, in my view, are not always the sharpest tools in the shed. And then the run-of-the-mill, mom and pop. It takes a long time to permeate the entire spectrum, Michelle. So, yes, everything has subjective value. But I'll just tell you, for guys that have spent their life in credit, man, it's like the penny drops right away. They're like, oh, my God, this is exactly the hedge I've been looking for my whole life. Everybody can use different ways of valuing it. Other people can value it based on a technology. Other people can value it based on an information transfer protocol. So technology stock guys who I know have bought Bitcoin in Canada, they think of it as a technology, not as an insurance product. And then credit guys think of it as an insurance product. And you may think of it as totally something else. Store of value, store of wealth. All of this is what determines an open market price on Bitcoin. And that's the beauty of unmanipulated market, okay? Bitcoin is unmanipulated. The fiat Ponzi is manipulated by guys like Jerome Powell, who gets up there and tries to manipulate your cost of funds using antiquated technology and rear view mirror driving, okay? This is the problem with capitalism today. Bitcoin is a free and open market. It's a thing of beauty, and it means different things to different people, and it can get valued in a whole lot of different ways. Ultimately, it settles on a market price that is not manipulated. It's beautiful. Yeah, let's not go too far, but just imagine the idea that I laid out with the USA. Take that for the USA, add in all the G7
G20.
Nations,
Okay.
Yeah, go all the way down to the G20. You'll come up with a number that's over $700,000 US per Bitcoin. Using credit default swaps. Hey, it's trading under 30,000. It's trading at let's do the math. It's trading at 1/27th of its intrinsic value, according to, I say the word intrinsic. You don't agree with me. I don't care. It's still 1/30th or 1/27th of the value that you could put on top of Bitcoin as a valuation metric. I don't sweat it. It's so stupid cheap. Don't overthink things. I could even give you a higher target price based on a share of total addressable market. I don't want to go there. I'm just going to say, if you own 0 Bitcoin, you're a fool. It is the best asymmetric investment opportunity I've ever seen in 35 years of managing risk. And we're listening to guys like Taleb and Charlie Munger, who are conflicted fiat Ponzi fools who are trying to say it has 0 intrinsic value. I'll take the other side. Thank you, sir. Because I think it could go many times higher. Thank you.
For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.